Well, we talked about a week or so ago that the projections for Toy Story 5 was it was looking at a 150 million, maybe bigger opening weekend. And we knew it was going to be huge, which would make it the biggest opening weekend of the year. Well, Toy Story 5 is now out. It's in theaters and it exceeded those numbers. Toy Story 5, forget the 312 worldwide. That's not important. Made $160 million on its opening weekend domestically, which shatters several records. Number one, it by far makes it the biggest opening of the year so far. It also, to put things a little bit into context here, it also means by far, it is the biggest opening for a Toy Story movie ever. As we take a look at this, so Toy Story had a $29.1 million opening in 1995. Toy Story 2 jumped up, $57.4 million. Toy Story 3 took a significant jump up in 2010 with $110.3 million. Toy Story 4 again came out and it eclipsed that, making $118 million. But look at that jump. Look at that jump from Toy Story 4 to Toy Story 5, making $160 million. And a reminder, those two other films, Toy Story 3 with a $110 million opening and Toy Story 4 with a $118 million opening, both of those films went on to be billion-dollar films. They both went on to be billion-dollar films. Now, that's great for an opening weekend, but your movie has to be good in order to have any kind of legs. I thought Toy Story 5 was wonderful. I don't think it's as good as Toy Story 3. And I'm not quite sure how I measure it against Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2 yet. It's definitely better than Toy Story 4, which I also really enjoyed. I enjoyed Toy Story 4, even though I think it's the least good of the Toy Story movies. This is a great movie. Toy Story 5 is a great movie. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And when you look at the critic reviews and you look at maybe even more importantly, the audience reviews, both north of 90%, this thing's going to have legs. And now, why is that important? Well, let's look at this in comparison to a couple of other recent massive animated films. Okay. So with a $160 million opening, that means that Toy Story 5 has a bigger opening than Inside Out 2 did and a bigger opening than Zootopia 2 did. Now, why is that important? Inside Out 2 at $155 million opening, it went on to make over $1.6 billion. Zootopia 2 with a $100 million opening went on to become the highest grossing animated film of all time at $1.8 billion. And it opened to 100. Toy Story 5 just opened to bigger than both of them at 160. Now, of course, obviously, that does not automatically mean that Toy Story 5 will go on to make more money than Inside Out 2 or Zootopia. Again, point out, Inside Out 2 had a much bigger opening than Zootopia 2 did, but Zootopia 2 actually ended up having a bigger overall box office by the end.
Huge box
billion.
office.
Yeah, huge. Yeah. 1.6 billion for Inside Out 2, 1.8 billion for Zootopia 2. So Toy Story 5 having a $160 million opening obviously does not automatically mean it'll be bigger than either of those. It will depend because Zootopia just had massive legs. Massive legs. It just maintained and maintained and maintained as families went back again and again and again. Will Toy Story 5 have that same effect? I don't know that it'll have the same legs that Zootopia did because Zootopia really is targeted more at kids, whereas Toy Story 5 is kid friendly. It's a lot of the themes are also very adult themes. I think the kids that were in the theater when I saw it were having a blast. Like the kids that were in the theater when I saw it were absolutely having a blast with the film. So I feel pretty comfortable, guys, saying that I think Zootopia or Toy Story 5 will end up being the next member of the $1 billion club. I feel pretty good about that, especially when you compare it to Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4 had a much bigger opening than those. and both of those movies made over $1 billion. It had a bigger opening than Inside Out 2 or Zootopia 2. Both of those well cleared $1 billion. One of them closing in on $2 billion. And I think Toy Story 5 is good enough that it will have enough legs, enough repeat business and stuff like that to get there. Again, I don't know that it'll catch Inside Out 2 at 1.6. I don't know that it'll catch Zootopia 2 at 1.8, but I do think it'll be the next $1 billion film. Rob, you saw Toy Story 5. We talked about how big they were projecting the numbers to be. They ended up being bigger. What do you think about this opening? Is it something they should be happy with? And how big ultimately do you think this thing can be?
Well, one, I mean, you and I both shared a love of this movie. I thought this movie was absolutely delightful. And what sequel, what number 5 in a series of movies has any right to be as good as this does? And so that said, I thought the movie was just delightful, wonderful. I was emotionally involved. And to see, like you, the audience that I saw it with, I saw it in IMAX, was packed. And it was, like I told you, it was a multi-generational audience. I mean, I saw some little kids with their folks, and they were all 4 wearing Toy Story shirts. And they, this is now a multi, I wouldn't be surprised if grandparents are going with their kids that are taking their kids. And this is a total family-friendly, that's what I think is amazing about this. It's like what all great children's movies used to be. They used to be kid-friendly, but also they were for everybody. Star Wars was certainly like that, and Disney live-action movies like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Mary Poppins were like that. And Pixar has always been very mindful of that, especially this is their premier franchise. So, again, there's no reason that this movie shouldn't get all the money. And I think that Disney has been very mindful of where they're at with their animated fare. And, throughout the history of Disney, they drifted sort of away. There was a time when they made something like The Black Cauldron. It was a great try, but it just didn't work out. And Pixar sort of brought Disney back, beginning with things like The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. But then Pixar arose out of that. And it's nice to see a company like Pixar come back on top, because pound for pound, they're the greatest animated company of all time. And they had they lost their way a little bit, but this is their key. This is the cornerstone foundational franchise of Pixar. And to see it come back roaring out like this, I think money-wise, it's probably going to do, I could see this doing 1.5, 1.8. This could definitely do Zootopia 2 numbers, because I think it has a lot of rewatchability. And we're just in the middle of June. We have the rest of the summer.
Jonathan, I remember you mentioning to me you had tickets to go see Toy Story 3 or Toy Story 5. Did you get around to seeing it? And if so, what did you think about it?
I really liked it. I don't know where it ranks for me, but I enjoyed it a lot. I think I might have even enjoyed it more than Part 4. I had only recently saw Part 4 because I realized I never saw it. So I watched it recently to lead up to this. But, someone made a comment and you flashed it on screen. I was thinking it really went with what Rob was saying, is that, if someone was 45 when they saw the first one, they might have had a kid. 45, they're 76 now.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that really crazy to think about?
Dude, somebody who saw this when they were 30 could have grandkids now.
Are in their 60s now and retiring. Yeah. So it's crazy. But I mean, the question for me is it's going to be over. It's going to be $1 billion. I have no doubt about that. The question for me is, when do one of these crack 2 billion? Because they are creeping closer and closer to 2. So who knows? This could be the one.
Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Toy Story 5 has just not only opened as the biggest film of the year so far, it's also shattered the previous franchise record. How big do you think it can ultimately be? Do you think it's good enough to get much bigger? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Hims. You know, one of the hardest things about trying to lose weight is just figuring out what actually works, because we've seen them all. There are a million trends, diets, and gimmicks out there, and honestly, it can get overwhelming. And that's why weight loss by Hims really stands out. Hims now offers access to an affordable range of FDA-approved GLP-1 medications, including the Wegovy pill at its lowest price ever, and the Wegovy pen. With Wegovy at Hims, lose up to 20% or more of your body weight when combined with diet and exercise. It helps you regulate your appetite and eat less, so success is within reach. Plus, Wegovy is the first ever and only GLP-1 available in a pill for weight loss, so there are no needles needed. And the process is extremely convenient. Everything happens online. You connect with a licensed provider who determines if treatment is right for you, and if prescribed, your medication gets delivered right to your door. No insurance necessary. Ready to reach your goals? Visit hims.com/Campea to get a personalized, affordable plan that gets you. That's HIMS.com/Campea. hims.com/Campea. Based on advertised cash price for 30-day supply of medication only. Membership required, fee not included, and billed separately. Weight loss by Hims is not available in all 50 states. Wegovy is the registered trademark of Novo Nordisk A.S. To get started and learn more, including important safety information, Wegovy clinical study information, and restrictions, visit hims.com.